All right, we are going to talk about Orlando Pride, a side that missed out on the postseason in 2023 by one goal. Let's call a spade, by one goal. They were tied on points for that final sixth place spot in the postseason. Gotham beat them out for that sixth place spot. So Orlando was not there. They had an opportunity. Unfair, says head coach Seb Hines, as to why his team did not make it into the postseason. But Orlando Pride, they start their play in the NWSL Saturday against Racing Louisville. They added some big players in this offseason, whether it's Luana or Angelina or the Zambian forward Barbara Banda, who just got added under Seb Hines. This is a side that wants to make it to the postseason and wants to win. There's a lot of Brazilians also within this group, Sandra.
I'm here for it. I'm here for Orlando de Janeiro. I love it. I'm so high on this Orlando Pride team. And I think we were, look, in respect to them, I think we were high on them last year as well. I think had we done these 2023 previews in line with everything that we know now, and I told you decision day, Orlando Pride's playoff hopes are going to come down to a decision day result where Martha has to step up to a penalty spot and convert. Will you take that bet? And I think everyone would have said yes, yes, and yes. And it still didn't matter. That happened. She stepped up to the point, converted a penalty kick, and everything else happening around Orlando Pride on decision day prevented them from actually cracking that playoff run. Angel City with their remarkable run, Washington Spirit unable to capitalize on their opportunities. So I think having all of that, what we know now, the moves that they made this offseason, knowing that it's 8 teams that are going to get to the playoffs, I don't know how you look at this Orlando Pride team and look at them and still count them out. So I think there's more confidence on this team, amongst this team, and even outside looking in. Your diehard fans that have been fans of this league since day one, your casual eyeballs who will enter the league, watching these games on all these different platforms, the media that covers it, the content creators who do content around it, everyone's going to look at Orlando and say, there's something special that's cooking here in 2024. I love all of the moves that they made, starting with that move for Angelina in the free agency period. I thought that was maybe kind of the move that signaled a little bit how they were going to continue to navigate things in their offseason, and they just gone ahead and continued to just what it seems like add and add and add and add. And just when you thought they were done adding exciting, dynamic pieces, they go out and they land Barbara Banda, one of the most impactful game-changing forwards in the game right now. It's gonna be incredible. I can't wait. It's happening this weekend. Opening weekend's happening this weekend, and I still can't wait.
Yeah, I think I mean, you guys know I played with Orlando, and that team has been on such a grind, I think, since Seb Hines joined as the head coach. Forming an identity, using the players that he just kind of fell into having, and trying to create this culture and style of play that he really wants, which is possession based, breaking teams down, very tactically savvy. I think we're finally seeing the depth added to that. He's always he's wanted the style of play for so long. You've seen it. We've seen like glimpses of it here and there. It's been inconsistent, though. I think that's been the biggest issue. For whatever reason, it's been very inconsistent. And last year we saw it becoming more consistent, but I still think they didn't have the depth that they needed to execute and score the goals that they needed to score and hold shutouts the way that they needed to. So I think with these huge additions, these playmakers, Barbara Banda is who I'm most excited about to join this team. I think she's such a fun forward to watch. Her mentality in games, especially watching her with Zambia, is incredible. She doesn't give up. She's hungry to score. It's this infectious energy to get into the box. Great with both feet. I think this is a forward that they've really needed for a long time to be at the front line of this team. And be reliable to play with Marta and Adriana and all of these players that they have. is just going to be really, really fun to watch. And I think it's finally going to come together. And you know what? They have enough depth on their team as well that when the Olympics come, I think this is going to be a team that's going to look the same.
Yeah.
Because
That's a good point. Yeah.
Zeb Hines has had the same style of play, the same structure with players from last year that he mostly still has now.
Mm-hmm.
That when these players leave, nothing's going to change. In fact, I think it's just going to get better and better. So this is a team that I think maybe has a chance to win the championship this 2024 season. I'm going to say it. Pride Girlies, I'm still riding with you. But
Darian.
Scary season for Orlando Pride. Yeah.
I love it.
What's their jerseys now?
It.
Orange?
With her whole chest.
Orange.
I love it. Darian, let's go.
Yeah.
Whoa, I absolutely love this. Okay, so Sandra with hard predictions early, Darian with hard predictions as well. I absolutely love it. I am high on this Orlando side. I'm really high on Seb Hines. They have some cracks in the armor, though, sadly, terribly. Emily Madrill and Rafaeli last year were the best center back pairing in the NWSL, hands down. Rafaeli is out on an injury right now. We saw that happen with Brazil during this international window, a left foot fracture, the same foot that she injured with Arsenal about 2 years ago. And that, to me, is a little concerning, not because of how severe the injury is. She should be back in a couple weeks, but is this going to be a lingering injury that doesn't allow Rafaeli and Madrill to be the starting center back duo day in and day out? And that's going to be concerning for me because they were so good last year and locked it down. However, Seb Hines learned a lot last year with this group and with his team, and the way the season ended was an absolute heartbreaker for Orlando. They had 10 wins on the season and they didn't make playoffs. How is that possible out of 22 games? It came down to points and goal differential at that point. And he learned in talking with him at the end of the season and going into decision day. I'm very grateful to have conversations with coaches because you learn so much about how passionate they are about the game. And he learned that you can have 10 wins and still not make the postseason, no matter how unfair that is. And it's because they had 11 losses and only 1 draw. It came down to those small margins in games where you're either going to draw 1-1 or lose 2-1. And in moments where I hate to say that this is like you want to play for a draw, but if Orlando had 1 more draw last year, they would have made the postseason. That's it. Yeah. Because of the point differential. If they had 1 more point and they didn't give 2 points to another team. So those are the small margins that a coach is learning throughout his time in the league. And now it's going to change again this year because there are 14 teams, 2 no expansion sides, 8 teams make the postseason. But I guarantee you that he will not miss out on the playoffs with 10 wins on point differential. That just won't happen again for this side because of how much of a heartbreaker it was for them last year and how devastating it was for Orlando, honestly, not to make the postseason. And with all the players that they have up front, with despite losing Messiah Bright, Simone Charlie out with an injury at this point, devastating as well. Yeah. But they have a lot of good players up front. And Morgan Gautreau, I don't think we mentioned her yet. She got traded to this side. She got traded.
If Morgan Gautreau is providing what we know she's capable of providing, I think that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure for that back line. You know, I mean, I believe in Emily Madrill. I think we rated her going into that draft class, and I think she stepped up and had a really underrated season. Honestly, I think she just really grew in the role in that position last year specifically. So we'll see. It is a loss, you know, to not have Rafa on the back line, but we'll see. Maybe Seb Hines is going to just have those discussions with his defense and say, this is what it is, so let's roll with it.
Well, I think that's a layer to this team now that they have, though, is missing out on playoffs off of 1 point. You carry that. That's probably in every pre-practice speech, every single one presentation they have. It's
probably written in black Sharpie ink on their whiteboard. 1 point,
100%. Like, I'm sure that is part of their mantra going into this year. That is just going to give them extra edge on top of this stacked team that they already have. It's just going to add to that culture, I think, because Orlando's always had a bit of that underdog culture, but we want to play beautiful soccer. We're just not, it's not fully connecting yet. I think we're going to see it connect now. But with that bite of this isn't going to happen again. Watch us be first or second going into playoffs. Like there's no way any team's going to get us by a friggin' point to make it to the next wave.
Yeah, a great point for sure. So you can watch Orlando at Racing Louisville opening weekend Saturday, March 16th. That kickoff is at 4 o'clock Eastern time.